Hello, this is Chris Reardon. Welcome to today's United Kingdom talk. We've moved back into the studio today. A little bit wet and windy outside. Autumn is here in the UK. If you're coming, make sure you bring an umbrella and a nice warm coat. Although it's not that cold out yet. Well, boys and girls, I'm afraid bad news to start with today. Very bad news. I have been ripped off. Now, it's a blue moon when you're able to rip me off. And I could have done something about it, but I was a little bit hungry. Now, you may remember, about 2 years ago, I mentioned to you that I, on a couple of occasions, dropped into a service station on the way home from Oxford to London. Oxford to Berkshire, while I was working in Oxford at a place called Cloud 9, which is no longer there. It's gone now. That usually happens. I do DJing and karaoke for my main jobs, and quite often, sometimes when places book me, shortly after that they close down. I don't know why that is. I mean, I must be particularly bad at the job. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I did, and I remember telling you that I'd got a sandwich and I think a bag of crisps, and it came to about a £5, which is over the top. Well, as you know, on Friday nights now, I now host a karaoke night in Birmingham, a place called Route 2, which is better than, it's getting better now. Okay, it's been a bit of a long uphill struggle, but slowly and surely the customers are coming in, and now we have some regulars, which is really good news. You know, when you're working in bars and clubs and things, the one thing you need is a core of regulars that come in, week out. They are so important. So important to have a core of regulars, because if they're there, then it already looks like, you know, there's something going on in a pub. There's nothing worse than being just about to go into a pub or a club and there's no one there. You wouldn't want to go in. So regulars are very, very important. We are starting to get them now on the programme. On the karaoke night. And so last Friday I did the job. Oh, it's a great night. Who are the regulars? Oh, well, we've got Jack, who's like a little bloke. Fantastic voice. We've got Chantel, who is quite a big character. Always at the end of the night she gets very drunk. I have two young drag queens that help with the night. One called Trish, his real name is Tom, and the other one, David, who is called Davina, and both of them can sing, which is not always the case with drag queens. Let me know you that. Okay? And indeed singers. How many times have you ever been out somewhere and you've seen a singer who can't sing? Ever seen that? Well, it's the same with drag queens, I'm afraid. Don't think that all of them are funny and all of them are have good voices, because it couldn't be further from the truth. Now, fortunately, the two that I've got... Oh, now you're waiting to hear which ones I think can sing and which ones aren't you? Oh, absolutely not, because I can guarantee one of them will be working with me next week or something like that. Huh? There's no way. Horses wouldn't drag it from me. I am not revealing the names of drag queens' voices that I do not like the sound of. Some are good, some are bad. Some... No, I'm not saying names. Some have been going for a long time and are usually quite good and are occasionally a bit drunk, and then the voice goes. No, I'm not going to say. Absolutely no way. Don't come up to me in a pub and say, Chris, you know what you was talking about. Which ones? No. More than my life's worth. I shall be attacked outside. Not going to tell you. But these two youngsters, Tom and David, I call them Tom and David, Trish and Davina, they are actually quite good singers. And nice personalities are too. You know, they kind of fit in and make people seem welcome. I remember years ago, I was doing I don't want to give you too much information because I don't want to point the person out, but I was doing this night, and it was a very popular night on my own. And then 2 youngish drag queens were introduced to host the night, which, to be honest, annoyed me a bit because the night was already working fine. What you sometimes get is a night that's working well, and a manager comes in and thinks he should fiddle with it, and it's the worst thing you can do. I've had that done so many times. I did work at a place called Heaven in London. Now, that was it's a huge nightclub, right? And I was there 3.5 years. And everything was fine until and I shall never forget it, the manager came up to me and said, well, you've done really well with this room. It's packed every week. We want to try something else in here now. And you kind of think to yourself, are you blind? You can see this is working. Why interfere with it? But a lot of them are like that. And I've seen it done time and time before, or time and time again, where something's working and someone has to interfere with it. Most annoying, but that's the way it goes. And these 2 young drag queens at this other place in London came in. One was okay, and one, I knew him. I see he was a regular in there. And he was a nice boy. The moment he had that costume on, he changed big time. And he had the worst attitude towards myself, and worse than that, all of the customers that you'd ever seen in your life. Suddenly, he was better than anyone else. And you can't get on doing this job, or any... I don't think that you can get on doing any entertainment type jobs, whether it's DJing, acting, on films, anything like that. I don't think you can do it if you've got a bad attitude towards people. I really don't. And it started ruining the night eventually. And it was one of those cases where all too often the main guy of the night, which, if you don't mind me saying so, was me in this case, because I created this whole thing. The main guy of the night comments to whoever's in charge, and it's not listened to. It's ignored. Or you get people that, again, people that are in charge and ask your opinion of something, although they have already made up their minds of what they're going to do. And it doesn't matter what you say, but they go ahead and do it anyway. And you often wonder why on earth these people ask you for your opinion when it's not going to be listened to anyway. Do you have any examples of that? We don't have to do names, okay? In fact, you probably don't want to do names unless you've left the place. If you've got any examples like that, then let me know. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, all right? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Anyway, so coming back from another enjoyable night doing the karaoke in Birmingham, and I was about 3/4 of the way home, and I suddenly felt rather peckish. My stomach was saying, feed me, feed me. I mean, I was getting thinner and thinner on the way home. My stomach was protruding because I had malnutrition. I needed something in Chris's poor little tummy. So I stopped at the services which are on the M40 coming back from Birmingham towards London, in between Birmingham and the M4 turn-off, or the A404 turn-off rather, I think it is. And these services, I think they were in Oxford again. I'm not exactly sure where, but anyway, I pulled into this service station. It wasn't a petrol station. This was a proper service station, you know, with a hotel and all that. And I pulled in, and as I pulled in, I was actually gobsmacked of how huge this place was. And I went in the glass doors, and I think they had a Burger King, and they had a Pizza Hut. Those particular little areas were closed, I think. They also had sandwiches and crisps and newspapers and all that. So I went to that section. And even before I got there, I thought, oh, you know, this is going to cost quite a lot. This is going to cost you a £5 for a sandwich and a few bits and pieces. But I'm very hungry, and I thought, well, you know, just this once. So I picked up a ham and cheese toastie. Now, what are they? You might not know what they are. A toastie, okay, it's 2 bits of bread, and in the middle you've got ham and you've got cheese. Now, the 2 bits of bread, it's in a plastic bag, and you hand the whole thing to the guy behind the counter, and he will turn it into a toastie. So he puts it in this machine, and it comes out later, and it's all toasted and lovely, right? So I picked up that. I picked up a bag of cheese and onion crisps, and I picked up a sort of medium size bottle of orange juice. It wasn't a very small one. It was a little bit bigger than that. It wasn't as big as a bottle of Coca-Cola. It was just a little bit smaller than that. So that had orange juice. So once again, I had a bag of crisps, one sort of medium orange juice, and a ham and cheese toastie. So I've got my £5 out my wallet. So I got to the till, so he'd done the toast. It looked very nice and whatever. And he's counting these things up. How much do you think that cost? Hey? 3 items. Bag of crisps, cheese and onion toastie, bottle of orange. Are you holding on to your seats, those of you in the UK? £6.77. That is shocking, isn't it? And I'm like, huh? He said, £6.77, please. So I actually didn't say anything. And now, there have been times where I've done that, and I've been so disgusted by the price that I've said, no, I don't want it, and walked out. I've done that before. But I was so hungry on the way home, and I don't know why. There was no reason for me to be hungry. I'd had a hot dog on the way at the other place while I was working. But for some reason I was particularly hungry, so I paid the money, and I felt rather annoyed as I walked back to the car. Look at the prices. Now, the crisps, they were 77p, which is probably about, I don't know, about 20p dearer than usual. But it's the other 2 items that get me. That medium bottle of orange juice, £2.40. £2.40 for a small bottle of orange juice. And the toastie, the ham and cheese toastie, how much was that? £3.60. So a hell of a lot of money for those 3 items. That was the welcome. I've got the receipt here, you see. The Welcome Break Group eating in Oxford. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. And it's Rick that serves me, although it's not his problem. I suppose he'd be on the minimum wage. Of course, they'll say to you, oh, it's our overheads, this, that and the other. Well, I mean, you just look at the profits of some of these service stations. Unbelievable. So a lot of money for just a few items there. Did I get value for money? No, I blooming well didn't. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Have you got any examples? I don't think I've ever asked you this before. Have you got any examples of being ripped off? Whether it's for food or furniture or a service, anything like that at all, please let us know on the email. It's chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I've made another little film which is showing. I've got a big screen. Those of you listening won't, of course, see this, but I've got a big screen behind me now, a big video screen, and it's revolving a film of pictures that people have sent in and other little bits and pieces. All right, if you want to watch the film, or if you want to watch the show as well as listening to it, then you can go to the main United Kingdom Talk website, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, and you'll see all the films within the show summary. Okay, once again, go to unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, something in rather happier circumstances was somewhere I went on Saturday, and that was to my Uncle Terry and Auntie Marian's 50th wedding anniversary. Hey! We need some bells then, don't we? Ding, 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 ding. Oh, maybe I've got some bells. Just a minute. Have I got bells? I don't know. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I haven't got bells. Let me just make a little note of something. What's bells? I'll just write that down. Bells. Yes, bells. That's what we need. Here come the bells. Ding, 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 ding. And what a marvellous time. How many people do you know these days that manage to stick with each other for 50 years? I mean, could you do it? I know we've got some people listening and watching to the show who I personally think will be together for 50 years. Suko and her husband, for example. Joe Morris and Amy, his wife. Gloria. Huh? There's a few of you there who I know will be together for 50 years. I mean, I hope I haven't mentioned this, but I hope you're not now looking at your partner thinking, oh my God, am I going to be with you for 50 years? And isn't it marvellous to find someone that you're totally at peace with? Don't you think? I just think that's fantastic. And what a great day that was. The day before, of course, I'd been in Birmingham, so I didn't get to bed till about 5 o'clock. Well, I had to get up again at 11. I had to get up again at 10 on the Saturday morning to leave for Terry and Marian's place. But actually, for me, it's not too far at all. It's like a 25-minute drive from my house, and they're in Newhaw, which is near Addleston in Surrey. Quite a nice area. And Terry and Marian, they've got a place, and at the bottom of their place is a canal. Oh, it's a beautiful house. Beautiful house. And Terry, my uncle, is very much into gardening. And he makes his own beer in a bucket. And he's been doing it for years. He does like a drink, my uncle, okay? He's a lovely, lovely man. And Marian's a lovely, lovely auntie. And in fact, she's been quite lucky recently because a while ago, I think it's 2 years ago now, either 1 or 2 years, I can't remember, 2 years, she had the breast cancer, and that was sorted out, fortunately. It's just, and I've mentioned this so many times before, it's marvellous what they can do now, isn't it? All these things that they can fix now that they used not to be able to fix. Anyway, so she was very lucky. And also my cousin lives there, cousin Helen, who's wonderful, and I do like to have a bit of a chat with her on the phone. Anyway, I left my place about 11 o'clock in the morning, 11:15. Drove down there, no traffic, well, not too much traffic at all really, and got there about 12 o'clock. I think I was one of the first people there. And I was to be an official photographer. Yes, there I was, snapping away at the people who were coming into the hall. They hired a little community hall for a sit-down meal and celebration meal. And my cousin, Helen, she'd, of course, helped and decorated. There were balloons and little banners saying happy anniversary. And a very nice touch was on the tables, which all had white cloths on, they'd sprinkled these little gold stars and bells and things that says happy 50th anniversary. Just little gold bits, and that was quite a nice touch as well. My sister and her husband and Tracy and her boyfriend Ben and little nephew Jimmy were all coming down as well. Unfortunately, they were quite late because they did get stuck in traffic. There was a diversion on one of the roads. I did tell her to leave. She said she was leaving at 8:30. I said, you're going to get caught in the traffic at 8:30. I'd leave at 7:30. I said, and if you do still get there too early, you can divert and come to me. Oh, no, they still left, I think, about 8:30. So they were, unfortunately, an hour late, but not their fault, really, because of the diversion thing. So they came as well. I met You see, the trouble is with these family occasions, if you don't visit each other regularly and things like that. I mean, I know my Uncle Terry and Marion and Helen, and I know my cousin Vince, Tim, and lots of other people. But those kind of on an extended family, like there's Marion's sister, so she'll be one of my aunts, Anne. And her son is kind of a cousin, isn't he? And I don't know these people. And you get introduced to them. Now, my mind isn't so good for names. It's actually better than it used to be. I think for a period of time, I think I couldn't remember people's names all the time. I don't know why that is. It's actually better now than it was, say, a couple of years ago for some strange reason. I had the most dreadful memory for remembering people's names, but it's better now. And you meet all these people, and you don't know who they are. And it's strange, really, isn't it? But on the other hand, nice. I mean, the whole room was just full of nice people. Have you ever been to perhaps an event, maybe even a family event, where you're in there and immediately you think, oh, not very nice over there, not nice people, you know, swearing and all that business. Now, I don't have the cleanest mouth in the world, right? But I think there are times and places where you need to restrict how you speak, perhaps. I think some people, I don't know if it's taught at the schools or that now, some people, certainly young people, are taught now to have very strong opinions of whatever they're talking about, no matter how it hurts people. There are various forums, computer forums, about all sorts of different things. Right? All sorts of different things. And someone might go on with a question or a comment about something else, and immediately someone else attacks them on the forums. And I just think that's just awful to have such a... I mean, I know one. I was seeing someone a few years ago, and I showed someone else I knew a picture of this person. And I said, oh, he's not very good looking, is he? And I said, I beg your pardon? And he said, well, he's not good looking, is he? And I said, that's not a nice thing to say. Well, I'm only being honest. And there are times that I personally think you shouldn't be honest. Why did he have to say that? If you don't want to say something nice, don't say anything. And I'm sure one or two of you have bumped into people on forums, or indeed out in the real world, not hiding behind a computer, but people who come on with opinions of things, and they are downright hurtful to some people. Now, obviously, that comment made to me wouldn't have hurt the person it was talking about, because, of course, I didn't then go back and tell them, oh, he doesn't think you're very good looking. And what's that got to do with it anyway? You see? All this being honest all the time and making your opinion known is not always a good thing, I don't think. What about people's feelings? Huh? Does anyone care about people, how people feel about things? Your comments on that, Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Anyway, there was no one we didn't like at Terry and Marion's 50th wedding anniversary. It was all very nice. Dinner started about 1 o'clock. Wonderful. They had some caterers in, Truffles Caterers. I don't know exactly where they are. Probably truffles.com or truffles.co.uk. I don't know. But the food was delicious. There was a choice of beef bourguignon. Is that how you say it? Oh, it's one of those clever words. Why don't they just call it beef stew? Huh? Or it's slightly different. Beef bourguignon or chicken, which seemed to be wrapped in bacon. And it was absolutely... I had the beef. It was delicious. Delicious. And my nephew looked really smart. My little nephew looked really smart. And he is turning into a bit of a looker, I have to say that. He's 12 years old, and that boy is going to break some hearts. Well, maybe he won't break hearts. Maybe he'll meet someone and then settle down and live happily ever after. Unlike me, who is destined to be here on my own forever and ever. Amen. Hey? So, ladies, get ready for my nephew. A couple of years' time, you will be writing me letters begging me to see him. You will be begging for a date with my nephew. But no, you will have to be checked out first by Chris Reardon, international celebrity, award-winning DJ, landlord, global broadcaster, environmental conservationist, master of merriment, what else am I? Connector, and your fairy godmother. You will be checked first. You will be begging me for a date with my nephew soon. He was really looking good. And he's only 12. What's he going to be like when he's 18, girls? Yes. I thought so, yes. Yes, you'll have to come through Uncle Chris first, I'm afraid. I'll have to check you out, dear. Okay? So, there he was. My niece, Tracy, such a pretty girl, but I'm afraid she had a top on that was revealing a bit too much for her uncle's likeness. I mean, everyone seemed to like her and how she looked and her dress, but it was a little bit too low for my liking. And I had to go over to Tracy with a couple of serviettes and put them over those things hanging out from the top there. Terrible. Her boyfriend was there as well. Ben, he's a nice bloke. They're another two. They will go to a 50th. They will have a 50th wedding anniversary. I know they will. Tracy and Ben. And hopefully I'll be there to actually do the disco for them. I have already offered that as a freebie. Offered my niece and her boyfriend a 50th wedding anniversary gift of me doing the disco and playing the music. I mean, how nice am I? Huh? So they were there. Sharon, my sister, was there, and Martin as well. Oh, there was one point, I think, where me and Sharon and I were talking, and she didn't like something, so she whacked me on the head, and it didn't half hurt. It was a really hard whack. Anyway, I've told her I'll get her back for that. I'll get her back for that. Yes, I will indeed. Yes. Anyway, so we sat down and had the meal, and that was very nice. And I said to my sister, is there any seconds? And she looked at me disgustedly. She said, what do you mean seconds? I said, well, I'm still hungry. It's a lovely, lovely meal. Lovely meal. She said, no, you can't go up and have seconds. Wait for the pudding. I said, all right. So I helped myself to another couple of bits of bread. Even the, I don't know where they got the French loaf from. That's delicious. Delicious. My uncle and her aunt, my aunt, they don't do things by halves. You know, there's no couple of friends who come in and do sandwiches and things like that. No, this was a proper, very, very nice sit-down meal. And I was sitting next to Cousin Helen. And we do like to sit next to each other and bitch. We do. And we talked about... I cannot even say what we were talking about in case I get into terrible, terrible trouble. But we did have a bit of a conversation, didn't we, Helen? Yes. We enjoy that. So after that, then the pudding arrived. And I said to my sister, oh, shall we go and get the pudding? She says, no, look, they're doing it by table. I said, no, they're not. So I sat there and watched, and people were getting up from different tables and going up. I said, look, they're not. She said, well, I'm not going up yet. And Auntie Anne was sitting on the table as well. So I said to Anne, come on. I said, look, are you coming up? She said, yeah, all right. So we both went up to the table. And they had a selection of either raspberry pavola or those little cream balls. Or what are they, Pavarottis? No, they're not Pavarottis. Oh, what are those things? The little chocolate cream sponge ball things. What are they now? No, not pre. Do you know the things I mean? The little round. Oh, come on, the word won't come. Profiteroles, that's it, profiteroles. Whoever came up with that stupid name? Can't you just call them cream and chocolate balls? Profiteroles. Why is that? Why are they named profiteroles? What is that? Is that after Mr. Profita who invented them or something? Anyway, so you could have one or the other. Well, I'm sorry, dear. I couldn't bring myself to have one or the other. So I got there and I worked out in my mind it was best if I asked for first the raspberry pavola, right? Because if I say, oh, can I have a little bit of each? She might have only given me a small piece of raspberry pavola. So I asked for the raspberry pavola, and when she put that on my plate, I said, oh, I'm ever so sorry, could I have a couple of profiteroles as well? They look delicious. She said, yes, no problem. So I had those on the plate as well, so I had both, dear. Both! Someone behind me noticed me that I did that, so they did the same thing. You know, copying Chris. I get that a lot of time, people copying things I do. So I went back to the table and we had that. Very, very nice indeed. And I finished it and I thought, oh, I wonder if I can have any more. I said, Sharon, do you think they're doing any more? She said, well, hang on a minute, these other people haven't eaten. And they had, you know, because I was watching, I was waiting. But then, shock horror, I noticed there was no one up there getting stuff, and they started moving the stuff back into the kitchen. So I then had to jump up. I had to make a snap decision, boys and girls, and I jumped up and rushed over to the table, and I had seconds on the pudding. Oh, it was delicious. And my other auntie, Fiona, she came up with me and had cheese and biscuits. And she'd already had a pudding as well. I think it was just pudding. It was raspberry pavola, profiteroles, or cheese and biscuits. Not one of each, dear. Never mind, I had 2 out of the 3, so that's not bad. So that was that. And after that, my Uncle Terry made a speech, and he's always very good at talking, my Uncle Terry. And he talks, and he talks, and he talks. Oh, God. It's a little bit like watching this show, actually. It's very good for making people sleep. Apparently, I was talking to my sister on the phone yesterday, and she said she was watching one of these shows in bed with my little nephew the other day, and he fell asleep. Thanks very much, Jimmy. Thanks for all your support and kindness. Falling asleep indeed. And that all finished, and it was about 4:30 in the afternoon, and people, including myself, started going home. So very nice indeed. It actually took my sister 5 hours to get there, and again, about 4.5 hours to get home. So a long, long way to come for a dinner. But when it's family, you know, you've got to do these things. And once you're there, it's all worth it, isn't it? Really just lovely to see family like that. It really is. And as I say, I was the official photographer, and I did some photos and that, and I'll probably put these up on the big screen at some point as well, a couple of those in future shows, all right? So do you think you'll get to your 50th wedding anniversary? Eh? I think some of you will. I'd like to get to a 50th anniversary of something. Do you know, I can't believe, perhaps I shouldn't be telling you this, I am now closer to 50 than I am 40. And I find that very scary. I don't think that I'm less... what's the word? I don't think my mind has matured as much, perhaps, as my mother's and father's, if you see what I mean. I consider myself sensible. I don't really take risks and things like that. But do we change that much? I think we do. I think we do change. But perhaps not in a way that we expected to. I do class myself as fairly sensible now. But, as you know, I have mad moments. Oh! Blah, blah, blah. And my mum and dad would never have done that. Would they? Oh, I don't know. Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, my email address. So a very nice 50th wedding anniversary there. My car is in for repair today. More expense, I'm afraid. Yep. Oh, do you know, I'm getting quite uncomfortable sitting here today for some... I don't think I've sat in the right place. Usually, I'm going to take my slippers off, 1 minute. Usually, I sit with one leg under the other one, and it's kind of crossed over. I'm trying to sit all posh on that today for some reason. I don't know why. Let's just relax a little bit more, you and me together. We don't need to. I mean, I could put my feet up here and everything. You know, I could relax. Oh, that's what I meant to tell you. My brother-in-law, Martin, is continuing to make his canvases of various pictures and that. I'm hoping to hang them up, because I've got 3 now, and I'm hoping to hang them behind me, perhaps under the mirror ball. But he's done this one of the London Eye as well, and it's beautiful. It's basically a picture that is taken at some point, and he's printed it onto a canvas thing, and it's really very good. He makes all these pictures now. He done one the other day of Kylie Minogue, and I had to say, it didn't look that Kylie Minogue to me, if you see what I mean. But most of the stuff he does is really very good. In fact, they did do one for my uncle and aunt for their 50th wedding anniversary. Took a picture of them and made a big canvas. Anyway, he's actually setting up a website. Oh, I've just realised he's also got at the top of this one a little thing to kind of hang it on the wall, which is quite cool. Right, there's another way of contacting the show. You can do it by post, and if you want to write into the show, I'm going to give you the address now. It's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Give you that again. It's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Always a pleasure to get a letter through the post, or indeed perhaps you're going off on holiday somewhere, you want to send us a postcard, send it in and I'll read it out. Okay. Yeah, Martin's setting up some a website where he'll be taking orders for doing all these pictures and that, and I'll let you know what that is when it's all set up. Okay. Yes, the car is in for repair at the moment. I've been getting a noise while I'm driving along. When I just start off, it sounds almost like there's something stuck to the tyre. You know that noise, like maybe you get a stone, it click, 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 click. But it's more like almost like a train sound, like ch, 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 ch. And as it gets faster, ch, 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 and then it disappears. And then, as you go past about 40 mile an hour, it was 50, but it started getting earlier and earlier. So it's about 40 mile an hour. There was a whine coming from one of the wheels. As time progressed, I noticed the whine was louder when you turn left. Like if you turn the steering wheel left, and it got quieter if you turned the steering wheel right. So took the car in, I said, sounds like a wheel bearing, book it in. So 2 weeks later, which was yesterday actually, I took it in. And they've given me a courtesy car, which is a Toyota I.Q, which is a very small car. And let me tell you, a fantastic little car to drive. It's a little petrol engine, right? And really nippy. Lovely little car to drive. Really was. And I was quite taken with it, to be honest. And I thought, oh, you know, I'm tempted now, because as you know, my car's 3 years old. Incidentally, while I was out in this car, the garage rang and said, yes, indeed, it is the wheel bearing. If you want to hold on to the Toyota I.Q tonight, and we'll give you a ring tomorrow, we should have the car done sort of mid-afternoon. So that's fine. Then I'll take the other car back and go and collect mine again. £330. So I don't know if that's expensive to have a wheel bearing done. It's certainly something I know nothing about whatsoever. I wouldn't know where to start. So you see, and it is a Toyota garage, and you always pay more. as you know, in a recommended garage. But what else has gone wrong on it? Nothing really. So, well, I had the wiring loom. That was a problem. Was about a year ago? Probably a little bit more than that. Maybe about a year or more. No, more than a year now, isn't it? That's got to be about 18 months ago. I had a problem with a wiring looming, so I'm not complaining. So I'll pay the £300 and that's it. But quite expensive, I thought. I've no idea what they have to do there. A wheel bearing, so they replace that and that's it, and that'll be sorted. And I was tempted by the I.Q. I then took the I.Q. down to visit my friend who's just been in hospital. You remember Jason, who had the hip replacement operation? Huh? Well, he is now out of hospital. Now, get this. He actually went into the hospital at 7:30 on the Monday morning. Right? At 12 o'clock, I got this phone call. And I said, it's me. I said, all right, Jace, how you doing? What time are they taking you down? And he said, they've done it. I said, what do you mean they've done it? He said, it's all done. He said, I'm back in the hospital bed. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. He said, I got here at 7:30. They took me down at 10 o'clock, knocked me out, and that was it. The next thing, I woke up in the hospital bed. How fantastic is that? I just think that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I went down the next day to see him in the hospital. This was the same day that I recorded my show on the beach. Remember last week? I went to the hospital after that and saw him in bed, and he wasn't eating much, but he was wide awake, and he managed to get up to go to the toilet. And he's got this walking frame at the moment. It's a long uphill recovery. It's a bit of a job, that is, a hip replacement operation, but I'm surprised it was like all over and done within like 2 hours. Wow. How good is that? Anyway, I took the Toyota I.Q. to go down and see him. He's now out of the hospital and in his flat in Brighton. And so on the way down there, a very pleasant ride in that little car. And I asked him if he wanted anything. He says, shall we have fish and chips for lunch? So I said yes. So I stopped, I went down as far as Brighton, that's where he is, and I went to Harry Ramsden's and got a takeout fish and chips, drove to his place, and walked in. There he was, sitting in the armchair on a cushion, because his knees, at least for now, I don't know if it's for always, his knees mustn't go higher than his hips. So, I mean, he couldn't, put his knee up like across, bent. His knees must remain lower than his hips. Very important at the moment for that. So I did a few little bits and pieces in his house, just a bit of washing up and that. And we had fish and chips. I actually thought, I thought the size of the... When I was watching the bloke do the fish and chips, I thought... Well, it was sausage and chips. I thought always putting a lot of chips in those boxes. But when he handed the boxes over, they only looked very small. Anyway, apparently what happened is I put out the 2 boxes of fish and sausage and chips on the table. I said, do you want a plate? He said, no, I'm not bothered about that. I said, neither am I. If my friend Wayne the butler, if you go round to his house, if you order anything outside, then it all has to be put on plates and things. Oh yeah, he warms up the plates in the oven and all this business. Me and Jason, no, out of the box. Oh come on, what's the difference? More work created through washing up plates and bits of, tomato sauce off your plates and what have you, isn't it? It's more work to do, for God's sake. Anyway, so we had that, and that was very nice. And then I says, what I didn't realise is that I kind of put the food out there, and he started eating his, and then I went out into the kitchen to make some tea. And when I came back, I'm eating the chips and the sausage. I said, I think I was wrong. There does appear to be quite a lot of chips here. He said, that's because I've just put a load of mine on yours. I said, no, you didn't. Did you really? He said, yeah, I hadn't even noticed. But after we had that, I still felt a bit peckish. We had nothing for pudding. So I then went out to a little local shop, just like through the estate that he lives, and purchased a toffee cheesecake and 2 Walls Viennetta ice creams. Oh, delicious. Very, very nice. And I came back through the estate as well. I have to say, there are some very dodgy looking flats on that estate. You know what I mean? Like balconies that are full of rubbish. Ever seen balconies in like blocks of flats or apartments that are just full of stuff? And what is all that stuff for? You're kind of wondering. And another one, I walked past this house, and there were some very, very strange undesirables hanging around outside it at the balcony, and indeed on the balcony. Very dodgy looking people that looked at me as I walked past them. But I didn't give them that. You know, I was on the mobile phone. I thought to myself, is it safe to use my mobile phone while I'm walking past this flat? You know, so a little bit dodgy around there. I didn't feel safe. It's not one of those places that you feel safe walking around at night, I don't think. Fortunately, it was bright daylight, although it was raining a bit. So we got the toffee cheesecake and ice creams. So I took that back and said, do you want the pudding now? He says, oh, I'm not hungry yet. And I was desperate to have that cheesecake. Anyway, I looked at the instructions and it says defrost for 2 hours. And I thought, my God, I can't wait for 2 hours to eat this, dear. Anyway, I took it out of the box, and it was obviously the freezer in the shop wasn't doing its job properly because it didn't look frozen. I thought, well, it's going to be defrosted in like 20 minutes, half an hour. So I left it out, and then half an hour later we had it. I said, how much do you want? He says, oh well, I said, half each? He says, no, a quarter. Anyway, I did do half each. Well, I thought it was half each, but when it was on the plate, it did appear to look that his was a lot smaller than mine. Isn't that strange? I didn't do that on purpose. No, I didn't. So we had the toffee cheesecake and that, and it was all very pleasant. And we watched a bit of telly, and I had a bit of a sleep in the settee. And then two of his friends came round later on, two lovely ladies that he says, you know, he doesn't know how he would have coped without these two ladies. They're just lovely people. Val, what are their names? Val and... oh, I can't remember the other lady's name, but two lovely ladies, sort of in their 50s. Really, really nice ladies. So they came round, and I left him with them round about 8 o'clock, I think, and I came home at 8 o'clock. I was really tired that night, and I think I went to bed about 1 o'clock in the morning, which is very early for me. So very nice. And as I say, he's had this hip replacement operation, and it's gone very well. It really has. So a long uphill struggle for him, but I'll do my best now to go down there weekly, because I think it gets a bit lonely down there, and kind of do little jobs and that, and just generally go down and have a chat. And that's nice anyway, you know, to kind of take some time off, which is something I don't do, and go around and visit people and just talk or watch the telly with someone. It's better than doing it at home on your own, isn't it, don't you think? Right, let's do an email. Oh, the Toyota IQ. I nearly finished, didn't finish talking to you about that. Toyota IQ, lovely car, but I don't think it's good on the fuel economy as my Toyota diesel Aygo is. I really don't, because I put 20 quid in at this end, and it looked like it filled the tank up. By the time I got back here, there was only 3 segments left, so I thought, I actually used a lot of petrol. So I'm not convinced that it's a particular... I don't think it's as economical as my diesel Aygo, which immediately made me think, no, not so interested, you know, because the one thing for me with cars is fuel. I want fuel economy on cars. I want a cheap car to run, so maybe the IQ is not for me. Has anyone got a Toyota IQ at all? What's your experience? Oh, excuse me, I've got hiccups. What's your experiences of that? Let me know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Hello to Thomas in Poland. I haven't heard from you for a while. Hi Chris, it's me, Thomas from Poland, loyal listener. He says, as I know, no native English speaker except you, I thought I might ask you some questions concerning the English language. I hope you don't mind, or rather, I should say I know you don't mind. No, if you ever want to ask anyone at all that's listening or watching the show, you ever want to ask anything at all, either for use on the show or privately, send it through and ask, okay? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Thomas says, I can say that because I think I know you quite well after all these years of exposing yourself in the show. Well, I think incorrect use of the term exposing there. I have never exposed myself. Thomas, do you know, I love it when the translation doesn't quite work. Exposing, that would mean taking my clothes off in front of you. But I do know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I don't really hide anything, do I? No. Well, I might be. I might be hiding something. You never know, dear. He says, you're quite an extrovert person, and that needs some courage. I don't know. It's not courage. No, it's just me. It doesn't need any courage. Just be yourself. I'm sure you must receive some nasty, vicious emails, though you never complain. Yeah, I usually end up reading them out because I think they're funny. You often think that someone that really dislikes you has taken the time and trouble to pick up a pen and write a letter, so it can't be that bad, can it, really? It's like I was saying at the beginning, you know, this whole thing with being honest. It's not always a good thing. There's nothing wrong with telling a white lie if it doesn't hurt anyone. And if you have got a negative comment, why write it? Or why say it, you know? Now that I'm considering to visit the UK at last, I've never been there. My daughter has instigated me to do this. She's 13 and announced that she must go to visit Japan. The Japanese are very respectful of cats, as I mentioned a couple of shows ago. She's a great fan of Japanese culture. She knows all hiragana. I don't know what that is. And some kanji signs which she paints on the wall of her room. Is that their language, the little squiggles and all that? I don't know what that is. I have no problem at all with gifts for her because I knew she would be very happy with Japanese fan or any other gadget about which one could say is Japanese. For the time being, the trip to Japan is out of my financial reach. I said this to her and she bore it bravely. Yeah, a good understanding girl there. So she's not one of those girls that I want. That's good, isn't it? You see, children, I think a lot of children are not taught now the value of things. They don't understand now that how things much cost. Now my little nephew, 12 years old, does understand the value of things. He will save up for something that he wants now. He has learnt that you can't say, I want, and it comes. He has learnt to save for things, which I'm really impressed with. I'm trying to teach him to save up for a house, but it's not happening. He keeps spending the money. She said she started to save money for a future trip. Anyway, I'm very happy that she has dreams and will achieve something a little beyond her usual wishes of gifts of girls of her age. Meanwhile, as we can't go to Japan, I propose her to visit London maybe. Is it cheaper for you to go to London then? Oh, it must be, yeah, because we're quite close, aren't we, Poland and London? She's learning English at school and could practice it in the UK. She said that it's a great idea, but she still doesn't give up her dreams of going to Japan. So for the time being, it's been decided. We're going to London maybe next year. We are both born travellers. My wife and son are domestic creatures and they hate to travel. Yeah, believe it or not, I hate to travel. It's a pain. It's a real pain to get from A to B by aeroplane. I hate it. Gets on my nerves. They still refuse to join in. I was in some European countries. My best memories are from Holland. I love that country and the people that live there. Very friendly people. Yeah, I've met many people from Holland. Very, very friendly people. They really are. At first I had some misgivings about going to Great Britain. I thought maybe British people are fed up with the Poles, Polish people. Maybe we would be treated with some hostility. So I searched some forums and read some opinions and found out generally it's not true. No, it's not true. You will find Great Britain, especially London, as a very non-racist country. We all get on like a house on fire here, okay? Of course, there are the exceptions to the rule. There always is wherever you go in the world, all right? He says, especially in such a cosmopolitan city like London, as I just said. So now back to language. My question concerning addressing people. I heard you said to postman, hello, mate. Can I be a foreigner addressing someone? Excuse me, mate. Or would that be incongruous? I don't know what incongruous means, but no, that would be fine. Call them mate. Hello, mate. How are you? It's like when I ring up Ross Patzelt on the phone. I say, hello, mate. And he usually answers with a burp. Or he passes wind. Oh, it's dreadful. Don't meet Ross Patzelt, whatever you do. No, you mustn't meet Ross. The second question is about addressing people by sir. I've read a lot of classical English novels where people always addressed each other sir, even enemies. You scoundrel, sir! This is my glove! I imagine that nowadays that form is out of use, except perhaps in army or court, or maybe addressing someone who is superior. I thought that till I heard you addressing me in a way that, and some other listeners too. Obviously, my imagination about using that word must be wrong. So when and to whom can I use it if I don't want to make a fool of myself? From Thomas in Poland. I do call people sir sometimes as well. If I don't know their names, I will call them mate or sir, depending on where I think they might be up on the sort of class thing. Now, if you were talking to me, I'd expect you to call me mate, okay? Because I'm kind of, I consider myself working class, all right? However, if you go and see someone that you don't know, perhaps working in an estate agent or a bank, you know, you don't know their names, call them sir in there or madam. Or if it's a customer asking me for a request, okay, at a DJ thing, sometimes I will call that person sir. It's more, how can I put it? I think it's more respectful. There's no problem with calling someone sir or madam in the right situations, especially if you're at work. All right, Thomas, so I hope that's all right. You also asked for the postal address, which I've sent you. So you can send him a little postcard like that, okay? Time for me to go now, boys and girls. My postal address or my email address, once again, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll see you next time. So, bye-bye now.